What does it mean to go out with someone? How about to go through hell? To go for your dreams or to go over your notes? These are the top 10 phrasal verbs with go. Are you ready? Let's go.
Shut up and sit down.
Let's begin the podcast with the phrasal verb go away. Go away can mean to leave and go to another place. For example, I would love to go away for a few days. We often use go away with the preposition on and a noun. For example, go away on holiday or go away on a business trip. Go away can also mean disappear. For example, I've got a really bad headache that won't go away. Or I've got a stain on my jumper that won't go away. We can also use it with people. Would you mind going away, please? I can't concentrate. Be careful with this one because it can sound a little bit rude. The next phrasal verb is go on. As with the last phrasal verb, instead of saying go away on holiday or go away on a business trip, we can simply say go on holiday or go on a business trip. But go on can also mean continue. For example, if somebody continues talking for a long time, we can say they go on talking for a very long time. And if you accidentally interrupt somebody, you can say, excuse me, go on. This means continue what you're doing or continue what you're saying. Okay, and let's go on with the phrasal verb go out. And go out can mean to stop burning. For example, the fire goes out or the candle goes out. Go out can also mean to be sent and published. The PAPI English podcast goes out every Thursday. Go out can also mean to leave home and attend a social event. For example, let's go out this Friday to the pub. But if you go out with somebody, this has a completely different meaning. It means to have a girlfriend or boyfriend. For example, I have been going out with my girlfriend for 3 years. Next is another phrasal verb with a lot of different meanings. Go off. Go off can mean to explode. For example, the fireworks went off at midnight. It can also mean to start ringing or suddenly make a lot of noise. My alarm goes off at 8 o'clock in the morning. Go off can also mean to stop working. My heating suddenly went off. I need to get somebody to fix it. If food and drink go off, it means the food and drink goes bad. I smelt the milk, it smelt very bad. I think it's gone off. And go off can also mean we stop liking or enjoying something. For example, I used to love reading comics, but now I've gone off it. Okay, now I no longer like it. Moving on to the next phrasal verb, which is to go for. And this phrasal verb only has one meaning. If you go for something, it means you try to achieve and get something. For example, I want to get a certificate in English language. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to try and achieve the certificate. If they had English teaching in the Olympics, I would go for gold. I would try and get gold. And another phrasal verb with only one meaning is go over. And go over means to review something. A good idea if you want to improve your English is to record yourself speaking and go over any mistakes with a teacher. This means to review the mistakes with a teacher. And if you're doing an exam, make sure you go over all of your answers before you finish. That way you can review any mistakes you make. And the next phrasal verb is to go back. And to go back means to return. For example, I can't wait to go back to England and see my parents this Christmas. To go back on something has a different meaning. It means to change your mind and do something completely different. We usually use it with a promise or our word. For example, he went back on his promise. He said he would help me this weekend, but he's watching the football instead. She went back on her word. She said she'd listen to every episode of the podcast, but so far she hasn't listened to any. Go through. This is another phrasal verb. So many phrasal verbs here. And go through can mean to examine something carefully and check it. For example, if you get a new contract, make sure you go through it carefully before you sign it. Examine it and check it well. Go through can also mean to experience something. For example, when I fell off my bike, I went through a lot of pain. I experienced a lot of pain. And moving on to the next phrasal verb, which is to go along with. To go along with means to agree with somebody or something. For example, when my girlfriend is angry, I always go along with her because I don't want to make her more angry by not agreeing with her. Also, if my Italian teacher tells me something new, I always go along with what she says because she knows a lot more about it than I do. And the final phrasal verb with go is to go under. And if a company or business goes under, it means they go bankrupt. They run out of money and they have to close. For example, unfortunately, this year, many companies have gone under because of the pandemic. And those are all of the phrasal verbs with go. That is a lot of information in one short podcast. So make sure you go over the podcast again when you have time. That means to review the podcast and try and find some of the phrasal verbs and explanations you like the most and you think you would like to use in your English. Try and write some little example sentences to help you remember and try and use them in your next English conversation. This has been the PAPI English podcast. PAPI English, practice and perfection in English. Thank you for listening, and I'll speak to you guys in the next podcast.